Hello and welcome to Gettable Trade Desk Live. I'm Riley Beveridge. This is Cal Toomey. We are live with you on afl.com.au and the AFL's official app. We are brought to you, as always, by Google Pixel. Great to have them on board across the next couple of weeks. Plenty of questions coming through. If you've got any questions for us, head on down to the AFL's official Facebook page. Check out the stories there. You can ask us questions every day, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be coming to you live and answering your questions. But Cal, before we get into that, I want to ask you about a couple of guys who have made their intentions clear over the last 24 hours. And one of them, as you reported exclusively on afl.com.au this morning, is Harry Perryman. He's going to Collingwood.
He's going to Collingwood, Rolls, and this has been the end of a long chase and a long decision process for him. He decided today, officially, to join the Collingwood Footy Club on a 6-year deal, had strong interest from Port Adelaide throughout the year, obviously from the Hawks as well, and from the Giants too, to retain him. In the end, it came down to Port Adelaide or Collingwood, and his final call came down to a boyhood love of the Pies. Yeah. I think that was a major factor within this. So he'll join the Collingwood Footy Club as an unrestricted free agent. That'll then lead to a pick going back the Giants' way, whether it's close to band 1 territory, which would give him pick 15, or end of first round territory, pick 19. That's still to be decided once the paperwork's through. But he joins the Pies. He'll add to their midfield and half back line and help free up and let the Collingwood coaching team do whatever the heck they want with whatever the heck they want with Nick Dacos. So that's a good start.
It is a good start. This is a decision from Harry Perryman that's going to have ramifications across the competition, most notably probably with Dan Houston's move. He wants obviously to get back to Victoria.
Yep.
But Port Adelaide would have been banking on getting either or both of Isaac Cumming or Harry Perryman as free agents in this year's trade period. The fact they've got neither, do you think it impacts what they do with Dan Houston?
Massively. This is a massive issue in terms of Dan Houston's hopes to get back to Victoria. He did have a club lined up. I mean, it was all headed to Melbourne before he pulled the rug on that later in the seasons after their tumultuous end to the season. He met with those 4 clubs. In the end now, I think it's out of Carlton or North Melbourne. North Melbourne has its future first-round pick on the table. That's probably the best pick on the table by some distance at the moment. Carlton doesn't want to use its pick 11 as part of a deal, so I don't know how they're going to get this deal done. Pick 12, they're trying to get off the Suns, but the Suns are going to have better offers for pick 12 than Carlton's future first-round pick as well. So that's still up in the air. North Melbourne looks to me like they have the best offer to get it done, and also they met with him in recent days, Alistair Clarkson. So still so much in play, but if you're Port Adelaide at this point, after missing out on top of those guys, I'm not sure you're letting him go unless the deal is out of this world. We
will get to a couple of your questions shortly, but just before we do that, Cal, I want to ask you about another story you broke on afl.com.au last night, and that involves Clayton Oliver and clubs once again for the second successive year doing their due diligence on a potential Clayton Oliver move.
Yeah, they are, and Geelong being one of them, and other clubs as well, considering what the price would be, what the cost would be, what the deal would look like, how much of the money they'd have to pay, what sort of pick they'd have to give up, and if it's doable. Now, we don't just throw these ones out of thin air, and neither do the clubs themselves. They are doing this on the basis that they think that he could be available. And this is a superstar when he's up and going. Obviously had his challenges this year, but still played 20-odd games and some decent footy in there. Hopefully with a full pre-season can get back to some of his best. But this one is absolutely in play, and Melbourne has come out publicly and denied that, but we wait to see how it progresses over the next couple of weeks.
The questions are coming in thick and fast. Let's get to a couple of them. Michaela wants to know, what's the latest on Luke Parker? Do you think he gets to the Kangas?
Well, he's got his exit meeting today with the Swans, so hasn't officially requested a trade to this point, but that is certainly the view of rival clubs expecting him to do that. He's got a multi-year deal on offer from the Roos to go there. They're trying to get, obviously, some experience in. Jack Darling's already across the line. That'll probably be one of the first deals done in one trade period. Gates open next week, probably pick 64. Luke Parker, they want as well. But he played pretty well at the end of the season once he did get back in that forward half for the Swans. So maybe some things to weigh up. But his exit meeting today, so decision day, the D-Day for Luke Parker. And also Caleb Daniel making his call over the next couple of days as well, expecting him to make that decision between North Melbourne or staying at the Bulldogs.
Kicked 3 goals in the grand final, did Luke Parker. Gus wants to know, who are the Crows getting? We know they'll get Isaac Cumming as a free agent from the Giants, but you reported yesterday they've got some interest in James Peatling as well.
They got a lot. They got a lot of interest in the Giant double act. Isaac Cumming one, hopefully for their sake, James Peatling two. A lot of clubs in the Peatling race, we know that. It's almost as big as the Melbourne Cup field, all 18 barriers. But I think that you look at it and think that he's got a big decision to make now, and so do the Giants. You know, do they offer more money now and more years?
Yeah, well, they've got a 3-year deal on the table now, but rival clubs who have met with James Peatling have 4- and 5-year deals on the table. You'd think there's probably an understanding from the Giants they'd have to go to 4 years if they do want to retain him.
So if they can get Cumming, Peatling, and Alex Neil-Bullen, pick 25 for that one, and also pick 4, I think that's a pretty good off-season for the Crows, as well as locking in Darcy Fogarty with respect to a new long-term deal, Isaac Rankin and Riley Thilthorpe before they come out of contract next year. Yeah,
good summer for the Crows. Moe wants to know, is it possible that Owies and Kennedy will stay at the Blues? I think Matt Kennedy stays at Carlton now. Was told he can explore his options if he does want to get to another club in 2025, where he is still contracted at Carlton, but I think he'll be staying at the Blues. With Matt Owies, I think now it's slimming in terms of whether or not he stays at Carlton or not. He's got some interest from around the competition. You reported on Brisbane last week. Josh Gablich and AFL.com.au reporting on Melbourne last night. The Blues have told him they'll take him back potentially after the trade period if they've got list spots and enough cap room, but still yet to be offered a contract by Carlton.
Question from Noah. Do you think Jake Stringer leaves? And if so, what is he worth? So I think it's a good chance he leaves. The Giants are the front runners here in terms of their interest, even though it's sort of just floating their interest at the moment. They're exploring that interest, but the link there is real. As we've spoken about over the past couple of days, the link to the Giants is real with Jason McCartney, who was part of the team that recruited him to the Western Bulldogs back in 2012, saw him win a premiership for the Dogs in 2016. Stringer's got a year to go on his deal at the Bombers, but has told people over the last month or so that his time there was up if he could find a new home. Is he willing to go to Victoria? That's the big leave Victoria. That's the big question for him to have to answer. And also the Giants are still working through that interest, but there is interest there.
Wilkesy wants to know ins and outs for the Suns in this year's trade period. We know they'll get John Noble.
They've only got a few minutes.
Yeah, they'll get Dan Rioli as well, but pick 12. It's on the table.
Well, pick 12, Dan Rioli still have to get a deal done.
Yeah,
so
true.
He wants to go there. It's a 5-year deal at a lot of money, significant money, which is obviously part and parcel of getting a good player across the line when he's got 3 years to go in his deal. So 5-year offer there for him. Pick 6 is going to be the basis of that offer to get a deal done, but don't think there's heaps of progress yet on that one getting done. Pick 12, that'll go out. There'll be clubs coming for that on a lot of different fronts. We know that is the hottest ticket in town, pick 12. And also Leo Lombard as an academy player. Elliot Himmelberg, we expect to go there as a free agent as well from the Crows.
Get a couple more quick ones in. Lewis wants to know, can you explain Ivan Soldo's situation?
Yeah, I think he wants to get to St Kilda, and I think he will. They want some extra backup. We'll see what pick comes for him. He's got 2 years left on his deal at Port Adelaide, but that one I expect to happen. And also will free up some opportunity for Dante Vicentini, who there's high hopes for at the Power.
Do you think Jack McRae gets to the Saints?
Well, don't know. I mean, he wants to. There's obviously keenness from St Kilda to get him there, but I don't know if what the Saints are going to want to offer versus what the Dogs will be prepared to accept is in the same ballpark at the moment. So I think that one plays out a little bit as well. A couple of quick ones. Joanna, does Dev Robinson get to West Coast? And Jack, will Denver Granger Barras be a part of the Tom Barras trade?
I don't think Denver Granger Barras will be part of the Tom Barras trade. I don't think that will happen. There's some interest in Denver Granger Barras, who's still uncontracted at the Hawks. Dev Robertson, what do you reckon? I mean, he's still contracted at the Lions, but played only 2 games this year. The Eagles had some interest last season.
He wants opportunity. He's looking around for opportunity. Rival clubs are well aware of that. He's contracted for next year. Would probably come at a bargain price, and the Brisbane Lions do need some extra points for their pair of players coming through in Levi Ashcroft and Sam Marshall. So that's important to them. Ash, tell me Chad Warner is not leaving the Swans. Well, I don't think it'll be happening this year. It'd have to be a change of heart for it to happen this year. But he has spoken to West Coast and Fremantle across this year. A couple of years ago during the trade period, he wanted to go to Fremantle. It didn't happen. It was pretty quietly held and kept that time around. Next year, he was going to be offered $15 million to leave us. So we wait and see what it costs to keep him as well.
$15 million. 15 million reasons to go back home to Perth, potentially for Chad Warner. There's plenty more still to come on afl.com.au. We're going to be answering questions on the AFL's official Instagram page in just a little bit. We're back every night throughout the trade period on afl.com.au, writing our column Inside Trading, all the latest trade news there. And then we're on Trade Radio as well. 12 p.m. every day is gettable on Trade Radio. 2 p.m. we're live on the AFL's official app and also on the website. So plenty more still to come throughout this year's trade period. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow.